Here's a reminder for some of you because I can see you're being dribbled and distracted. Here's a reminder. No foreign leader can save us here in South Africa. I'm going to say that again. Donald Trump cannot save us here in South Africa. The power to make changes, the power to reform this country, the power to better South Africa is in yours and my hands, us, the citizens. Molo Sanbonani, hello house, and welcome to another episode of the Big Daddy Liberty Show's Vlogs edition. My name is Sihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. Remember, as you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button. Yeah, boy, absolutely demolish that like button. Of course, subscribe to the channel. Guys, remember, share this episode so that more people can join the BDL bandwagon. Now, enough with the jibber jabber. How about we get straight into today's news as we're set to see Donald Trump meet with Cyril Ramaphosa today. What will this mean for us as South Africans? Yep, that's right. Donald Trump is, of course, set to meet with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is in Washington, D.C., looking to mend relations, as they put it, with the U.S. government, which has been, that relationship at least, frosty, to say the least, ice cold, if recent events have been anything to go by, as there are major issues, bones of contention, that the US President Donald Trump has articulated that he has against the South African government. So this delegation, which is there, of course, and you're probably wondering who is part of this delegation. Let me quickly read from ENCA, which wrote this piece up ahead of this meeting, illuminating who will be part of this team as follows. Right, as you can see there, 4 ministers join Ramaphosa on US trip to mend relationship with Trump, quoting presidency spokesperson Vincent Makwenya, saying, of course, that the main aim of the visit is to develop a new trade framework with the United States. Makwenya says, of course, that ministers Ronald Lamola, Khumbudzo Nchaveni, John Steenhuisen, and Park Stau will accompany the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, end of quote. Now, those ministers, of course, forming part of this delegation, having a very tall order in front of him in terms of mending that bilateral relationship between the US and South Africa. And a lot, guys, is riding on this. Please understand something. A lot is riding on this. It's not good enough for those of us who I've seen on social media simply dismiss this and say, well, and not even just dismiss this, but wish this delegation ill will. It's not good enough to do something like that. And it's actually problematic to do something like that when you consider what is riding on this. These ministers have to ensure that that trade relationship between the US and South Africa remains sound, not for their benefit as the political elites, not for their benefits as politicians, but for the benefit of you and I, ordinary South Africans, including those fellow South Africans whose very jobs and livelihoods hinge on a solid relationship between our second largest trading partner. It cannot be, as I've seen on social media, that people are as flippant as they are about this meeting. And by the way, that ill will that I speak of, the individuals who are almost hoping that the relationship between South Africa and the US tanks even further, is coming from all sides. But there are 2 discernible sides which I've picked out, and that's what I'm going to chat about in this video. 2 discernible sides which form a bit of a horseshoe effect, because each of them are on divergent sides of most issues, generally speaking, and each of those 2 sides, ironically, hate each other to bits. But on this, they suddenly agree, but agree for very toxic reasons, if I can put it that way. What are these 2 sides, Big Daddy Liberty? Well, insofar as how I've seen it play out on my timeline, there's the one side, which seems to be pinning all of its hopes in Donald Trump. Oh, Donald Trump, you will save South Africa. We need you in order to effect change in this country. A position or view, in my belief, which is absolutely delusional. Absolutely delusional. Because as I said in the beginning of this video, no foreign leader can change South Africa. No foreign leader can save us as citizens of this country. That power resides with us, the citizenry in this country. And it is us who need to exercise it ever increasingly. We've sort of started doing that if you look at the results of the last election, but it's simply not enough. But again, I digress. These two sides. The side who believes in Trump, as I said, are hoping, as they say on social media, that Trump will put Cyril Ramaphosa in his place, will belittle him and totally destroy the relationship between this particular administration and the Trump administration. How do you say that and not, again, as I said, think about the repercussions for fellow South Africans whose very livelihoods hinge on this relationship? And it's not just that side. It's not just the Trump will save us side, which has echoed a ill will towards this delegation or wanting this relationship between South Africa and the US to tank in order to prove some point, because the other side of the equation does exactly the same. Exactly the same. But they'll say, oh no, we want Cyril Ramaphosa to stick it in the eye of Donald Trump, they'll say, because it'll prove some insert reason here. Point around, South Africa and how we don't take crap and we can go it alone, yada, yada, blah, 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 fish paste. An equally delusional position, but yet the horseshoe is right there where these two differing sides are almost converging on this particular issue in the most toxic way for ordinary South Africans. So that what I'm arguing for as I watch this delegation try and salvage the relationship between the US and us is for cool heads and sober minds to be able to negotiate positions and yes, do so in an honest, open and frank way. I'm not here suggesting that South Africa must go there and BS the US. And equally, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'll take some sort of joy in watching the US destroy its relationship with South Africa and indeed the thousands of South Africans who are dependent on that relationship. Guys, you have to put your country first. I'm going to say that again. You have to put South Africa first. It is the ordinary South African, the faith, flag, family and freedom type South African who is wholly dependent on things going well and the relationship between America and the US being fixed. And it's on that basis that I'm actually quite in support of there being good outcomes from this deal. Now, as I said, I'm not suggesting that the relations between these two countries should avoid hard issues. Of course, they must talk about the hard issues and hash them out because the very nature of this bilateral relationship needs that. It hinges on that. Issues such as America's unhappiness with South Africa's case before the ICJ, where it's accusing Israel of war crimes, or the other issue, which is Trump rightly pointing out that South Africa has discriminatory legislation aimed primarily at minorities in this country. Those are real issues that they must hash out, and concessions have to be made. Concessions have to be made. And indeed, those hard issues must be discussed openly and frankly, and there should be concessions. There should be concessions, especially on the side of South Africa on this issue, because let's be frank here. America is our second largest trading partner, and we need them. We desperately need them insofar as the preferential access that their trade deals give our industries in this country. Industries like the agricultural sector, our farmers in particular, who I care most about in this instance, who I'm hoping John Steenhuisen, the agriculture minister, will do a great job in putting together a great deal for them. Our farmers are dependent on this trade relationship. So no, I'm not going to wish ill will towards this delegation. I'm going to support it. Regardless of how I feel about any of the individual politicians on it, I still am more pro-South Africa than I am anti any given politician. And that's the position I'm hoping you too will adopt. All right, let me know what you think about this video. Yes, I know. Here come the comments. Because so many of you are invested in your particular takes on this issue that you're seeing the barn hole and not the barn door on this particular matter. And I'll repeat my point. I am choosing to put South Africa first above any and all other issues, including any ill will I may have against any particular politicians. Hashtag politicians are trash. But even in that situation, I will never put that feeling over and above my love for this country and how I will want fellow South Africans to do well. Let me know. Maybe you disagree. Let me know why you disagree in the comment section. And let's have that conversation. And indeed, as this meeting between the SA delegation and the US delegation is underway, as always, we'll be watching.